I'd like to now introduce Holly Hardstaff. She is the Assistant State Commissioner for Girl Guides Queensland, working with almost 6,000 youth and adult members statewide. Also a Girl Guide leader on the Gold Coast, Holly is passionate about getting girls outdoors and helping them to find their own individual voice. In her work life, Holly is the co-founder and creative director of H&E Group, a brand development and marketing company on the Gold Coast, who work with local and national companies to create engaging websites, showcase their products via social media, and create and then tell their story to their consumers. Sharing insights into the Guides program, including ways to value services and attract and keep girls engaged, please welcome to the stage Holly Hardstaff.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for that lovely introduction. My name is Holly Hardstaff. I am the Assistant State Commissioner for Guides Queensland, and I'm really, really privileged to be here today and share with you some of the things that we do at Guides. Before we start, I would of course like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we gather today and pay my respect to their elders past, present and emerging. Okay, did you all eat enough sandwiches at lunchtime? Excellent. Let's wake you up a little bit. Could you stand up, please? Okie dokie. I'm going to mention some activities. I want you to remain standing if you have done them. Okay? So sit down when I get to something that you haven't done. Have you ridden a bike or a horse? Excellent. Who's been swimming? Brilliant. What about played cricket or rugby? Ooh. Who's been bushwalking? What about camping outside under canvas? Caravans don't count. What about jumping on a trampoline? Very active. What about abseiling? Ah, now we're getting warm. Stay standing if you have also been rock climbing. What about abseiling forwards? What about going in a canoe or a kayak? You can't stand back up again, I'm sorry. Once you're out, you're out. Using a compass or a GPS to find your way. What about stand-up paddleboarding? What about navigating using the stars? Who's still standing? Wave your hand in the air. Okay, 5 or 6. I would like you to remain standing if you had done all that by the time you were 13. So every single one of my girl guides would still be standing. Were you a guide up the back there? Were you a scout? So in a room of, what, say 150 people, we can see there's one person really. So those numbers are really small. So if you are a girl and you are 12, chances are, if you don't go to Guides, you might not do any of those things. And that's what we offer our girls. So I'm just going to play you a little video, which I think you have seen, but I'd like you to just watch it and listen to what the girls say about what they do. So.
It's a whole new experience. It's really good to learn about things and how to help people. You just feel like you're at home already, like there's nothing to be scared of. Everyone just makes you welcome and everything.
I think girls like to be involved in an all-girl environment. They just like to hang out with other girls and just be girls, be however they want to be.
The change in the kids is incredible. The amount of fun she has, the friends she has, the adventures she goes on, it's absolutely worth it.
I believe that it's the most wonderful organisation for the girls. There's 10 million of us around the world. It gives the girls lots of opportunities to be girls, but also to be able to be independent, learn leadership skills and to work together as teams.
It's changed my life. Being part of it for my whole life, I've learned things that I don't think I would have learned otherwise. I've had experiences I would never have dreamed of having.
The leaders are amazing. They help us, they do anything to get us through Girl Guides and be strong, confident young women. If they weren't here to help me, I wouldn't be here right now, and I want to thank them for that.
I had a great experience as guides. I was a very quiet, very shy, very retiring little girl, and then all of a sudden I became a patrol leader and I was in a leadership role. I've gone on to other leadership roles in my life since then with confidence, and it all comes back to what I did in guides back in those very early days when I was about an 11-year-old girl.
I think I'll be a leader someday because I learn a lot of things from my leaders and have a lot of fun.
I think it's really good in making new friends, being taught how to make friends, being introduced to the outback. It makes them a lot stronger physically and mentally.
It's a very inclusive, safe environment where they are pushed to do things that they might otherwise not feel confident to do, but they are very supported and it's a lovely community to be involved in.
Girl guiding gives young women an opportunity to develop their confidence, their capacity to plan and do incredible things, and they'll all tell you that, you know, being with Girl Guides allows them to think big about what they can achieve.
It almost doesn't matter what your girls are interested in. There's such a variety of activities you can do at Girl Guides. It's a really structured, great way for them to make new friends, learn new skills and have fun.
I feel like Girl Guides is now my family.
So it's just a bit of promo. That's one of our latest promo videos from Guides Australia. So what does Guides really do? We provide, our official definition is, we provide non-formal educational programs designed to create the leaders of tomorrow by building on strengths and personal skill development. So our program to do that is really flexible, and it can be designed to suit every single girl and adult who's actually a part of those groups. So as I said there, we have over 10 million members worldwide, which is massive. And we're still growing. So we're part of a bigger group called WAGS, which is the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. So we know that we're in over 147 countries in the world, which is pretty massive for a group in this day and age. The things that the girls said is that they learn new skills. They learn new experiences. They have adventures. They're independent. Everyone makes you feel welcome. They have fun. And they get to think big, and they gain confidence. The dad at the end says, Guides is a great structured way to make new friends, learn new skills and have fun. Nowhere there does anybody say they get to go abseiling. Nowhere there does anybody say what we actually do. This is what the girls love from Guides. And if you really think about it, it's not so different to what's on offer in your clubs. I bet every single member of what's in your clubs could say they get those feelings. And if they don't, perhaps you need to think about how you are selling what you're doing. So part of my reason for being here today is to put my Girl Guide hat on and tell you what we do. In my other life, I own a marketing agency, and what I'm going to do today is talk about how you can help promote your organisation as well, especially in the female space. So, empowering girls and women, how do we do it? So we have made it our sole mission. Our mission statement is to empower girls and young women to grow into confident, self-respecting, responsible community members. How cool is that? So notice there is no mention of knots, abseiling, stargazing, cooking, science or technology or anything else in our mission statement. If you went into any guide group next Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday around Queensland and then went the following week to a different group, you would find so many different activities you almost wouldn't believe it. The amount of skill and experience that our leaders have is amazing, and they are all volunteers. In 2017, we were the winner of the Best National School-Aged Activity for Youth, which is amazing. And we just know that we have worked so hard on our offering and what we've done over the last few years at Guides that we were really, really pleased to have the honour of winning this award. So, what do we actually offer them? variety and opportunity. This lovely have a go at surfing was at one of the Commonwealth Games badge launches that we held earlier on this year, and we were really privileged to have that on the Gold Coast. So we had, I think, about 400 girls come from all over the Gold Coast and take part in outdoor activities. Now, one of the best things about Guides is most of it happens outdoors. We don't even mention that it's outdoor, it just is. And one of the hugest barriers to female participation is often going outdoors, and I'll talk a bit about that later on. But it's really nice to see that so many girls and their families showed up to launch the Com Games badge. Last year alone, we awarded 6,500 achievement badges to Girl Guides across Queensland alone. So this can be in anything, you name it, Guides can get a badge for it and feel accomplished, but every single time they do, they have to challenge themselves. The criteria have changed a lot since the early days of guiding. It used to be there were lots of checklists and you had to tick all of those boxes, and if you didn't get your badge. Nowadays, we are such an inclusive organisation, and we recognise the different backgrounds and skill sets and issues and hurdles that girls need to overcome, that we make sure that every girl can challenge herself and stretch her limits and get an achievement award for herself. So we have national and regional level strategic planning. Now this is something that it's not new in organisations like ours, but it does take a long time to get a group of 5,000 volunteers and youth all singing from the same hymn sheet if you are making changes. So over the last, I'm going to say, 10 to 15 years, we have worked really hard on changing the way that we roll out things like a strategic plan. In 2014 to 15, there was a national project called Building Our Futures, where girls, leaders and parents all had their say in what they liked about the program and what they didn't, what they thought we could change about our delivery and what we should keep, and so on. So we really had a huge integrated project, state and national-wide, just to make sure that everybody had their say. We connected with other member organisations from around the world. We built on lessons learnt from past projects to better understand how we can grow guiding in the 21st century, because it's very different out there now to what it was like when Guide started over 100 years ago. All of the research was drawn together to create 6 recommendations for the Australian Guide program. And the most important one that I would say came out of that is developing a range of flexible delivery options for the program. So this is still very much an ongoing project, but something I want to touch on is flexible delivery. Guides is not about a grown-up standing at the front doing the talking. We know that young girls as young as 6, 7, 8 switch off when that happens. Wait till they're 15, they're not going to hang around. So we have really made sure that Guides can be delivered by anyone. If they want to come and go through our training, become a qualified leader, which at this point takes 6 to 12 months, they can deliver guiding programs using their skill sets to the girls in their local area, and we love that. This national and regional level strategic planning is rolled out through what we call the patrol system. Was anyone here a guide or a scout? A few hands. So you know what I mean by patrol system, right? So what you might know is a little group of 6 of you in your hut on a Wednesday night, and one of you is a patrol leader. So this is a system where the youth get together and have their little groups. What many of you don't know is that system works right the way to the top. The patrol system works in our organisation like a ladder. Information comes up and down it really quickly. Everybody understands who's in charge. Everybody understands who to go to. Everybody understands how everything works. In your unit on a local level, patrols are really important because girls learn leadership skills. They get to test out leadership skills and learn that it's not about just speaking louder or getting angrier. They learn how to become their own kind of leader. Fast forward a few years, and those girls might then go on to become leaders of youth. If they've come up through the system, their love for Guides often never goes away. Girls might go to uni or have babies, or they come back, and what we're finding is almost all of our leaders at this point are Guides who left, and they've drifted away and come back round. I know myself, I left Guides when I was 17 because I was way too cool to go. And then I moved over to Australia when I was 24. The first thing I did when I got here is thought, I'm going to join Guides. I really wanted a diverse group of friends of all ages, everywhere, that I could tap into and have that mentorship of a more experienced person, have someone to mentor myself, have a group of immediate friends, and that's what I found in Guides. And we find that a lot of our leaders do the same thing. Back to the flexible guiding, we're making leadership fit girls' lives today. I've just 16 weeks ago had a baby, yay. So I'm very lucky to be here today because you are my first foray back into adult land. I went back to work 2 weeks ago and I went back to Guides 2 weeks ago. And I realised the amount of help that I have at Guides is astounding. The amount of women who've done what I'm doing, they're working with little kids, or they've already been through it, or they've got children who are grown up. The support that I have is amazing. And that's another thing that Guides offers. So it's not just for youth. And a little bit of that is how we often hook the parents in. So I'll talk about that later on, but it's really important to know that Guides is for everybody from 5 to about 105 and older if you can take it. So let's talk about how do we get girls to your groups? Has anyone ever been in a meeting trying to attract more girls to your organisation and someone says, let's put some pink on the flyer? Anyone ever done that? What about some sparkliness? I want you to think about all the girls in your life. Are they all pink and sparkly? A few murmurs of definitely not there. So when we say we want to attract girls, how are we going to do it? We don't need a cookie cutter version of a girl. Think of all the different women and girls that you know and imagine, what is it that they want? What did you hear at the beginning? The girls want the fun and the adventure, and they want to stick their neck out a bit and be a bit brave and have a go, and they need a safe environment to do that in. So when you're stereotyping to try and bring some girls into your organisation, I want you to think about, do I need to stereotype or do I need to refine my target market? One thing that we know outdoor activities really does for girls is develops their leadership skills. If you're going to lead, you need some confidence, right? Or bravery, the same thing. Outdoor adventure gives you both of those. Even running on a hockey pitch gives you confidence. You don't want to run over that ball and break your ankle. You need to have the confidence to get yourself together and do it. Swimming gives you confidence. Getting in the pool, achieving a faster time, using your body gives you confidence. And we know that when girls get confidence, the first thing they want to do is share it with their peers. So we're naturally developing leadership skills through the outdoor adventures that we have. Another thing when looking at attracting girls to organisations, even if you're an all-girl organisation just like ours, is who is it really for? We know that the kids have the please mum power. We know they're the ones that say, I want to go and do that. I want to go and do that. But we also know that the parents need to see maximum value in what they are taking their children to on a Tuesday night or on a Saturday morning. The parents are driving the cars. The parents are paying the bills. The parents are coming along, doing the fundraising sausage sizzles. They've got to see the value. We have pushy parents in Guides, just like you have in sport. They're everywhere. And, you know, fair play. They want the best for their kids. Who can argue with that? But we often found in Guides that the problem we had is the parents didn't really know what we did. So we really had to get out there and show the parents what the girls were doing. And we found that by the time the girls were coming home, brimful of excitement because they'd just done something they really loved, even the pushiest parents started to thaw out a little bit because they could see the value of the growth in their children. And that's something that's really important to us at Guides, and we always bring it back to our mission statement. Are we empowering these girls and young women to get out there and get confident? If we're not, it's not on the list. And we know from the feedback we get from the parents, that is one of the biggest things that they get. They come home and say, my daughter has changed massively. You saw it in the video at the beginning. The change in her is amazing. That's what we know, and especially with girls who are 11 or 12, they're at a crucial age. 1 minute they're a child, they're reading you a book, they're doing something very young. The next minute, in the flick of an eye, they can seem 19, going on 20. And it's amazing if you can harness the energy of the girls in that age group they will love your sport or whatever it is that you do for life, and they will be an ambassador for you if they can grow and learn their confidence from what you do. Okay. Are there any organisations here who are just for girls? Are there any who only have boys in their group? Okay. I want you to think about what your childhood was like, just for a minute. And then we'll explore the difference between that and what the childhoods of these girls are like now. So, who knows what a GPS unit is? Have you had a go at geocaching? Have you found anything? No? Okay, so back in the day, we used to navigate using a compass at guides. We still teach girls how to do this, and they actually love it. But what we more than likely do now is use a geocaching session, which uses a GPS unit to follow a pre-programmed course. Girls now plot courses for each other, switch units and say, go find the clues that I have hidden for you. They absolutely love it, but the difference in technology in their lives now is massive in comparison to what it was even 15 years ago, let alone 30, 40, 50. We have to embrace it. If we decided we were going to stick to the compass and that's it, we'd be dead in the water. So as an organisation, we have worked really hard to stay on top and at the front of all the technology that comes out and make sure girls can see it in our organisation. Who uses social media in their organisation? Do you use it for the parents or the kids? Anybody out there? Both? Which one is more successful? Parents. Does anyone use Snapchat for their organisation? Okay. So the way that kids use social media is massively different to the way that adults use social media, and we know this. Facebook is an old dinosaur to anyone who's 13 years old. Snapchat works by showing video clips that have disappeared once you've watched them. You can't get them back. So it's really immediate. Their version of social media is now. Everything is now. So when we use social media in our groups, we have to be really mindful of who is it really for. I've just put an aside there. We have a project at Guides called Free Being Me. It was run in conjunction with Dove, the body moisturiser company, and basically it's all about looking at body image. We know this is huge for girls. How many girls play sport and suddenly get a bit awkward and start to feel a bit shy in their clothes? We know it's a huge, huge issue for girls. We have a whole project that was run across Australia called Free Being Me that was very successful, all about body image, working out how girls can say how they feel, how they can explore why they feel weird about the way they look, or learning how to compliment others rather than judging it so they don't then judge themselves as harshly. If anybody would like to see a copy of that program, please give your email address to Brad or Cam at the end and I can make sure that you get that. It's a really valuable project and we have really, really had excellent results with it at Guides. Okay, who remembers being told to stay indoors as a punishment? This is no longer the truth. I'm just going to fast forward a couple of these. 75% of children spend less time outside than prison inmates now. Isn't that a worry? That's from a really interesting study that was published in The Guardian in 2016. Again, I can send you that link if you like it. What are we doing? If we've got kids that stay inside more than people who are in prison, there's something wrong. And what's happening is they're getting scared of the outdoors. What used to be a punishment has become the norm. Children are terrified of the outdoors. And the worst thing is they're probably catching that fear from their parents, which I'll talk about in a minute. So stay indoors used to be a punishment. It's not anymore. So Guides happens outside as much as it can. We now have involved dads. Way back when, dads went to work, they came home, dinner was put in front of them, and the girls probably then went to bed and never really saw dad unless they went to something like church on a Sunday. Fast forward to 2018, lots of girls live just with dad. Lots of dads are the ones who are coming and helping bring their daughter to Guides. So we know that they're going home and having different conversations to the ones they were having if they went home with mum. So we've embraced that. The amount of dads that help us at Guides is amazing. They're not leaders because we have a girl-only space, but they help us in our support groups. They help us with anything you can imagine. Lots of them might be drivers, fixing huts, helping us raise money. If you can think of it, dads will do it for us, and we really, really love them. But we've had to make sure we involve them. So everything is available right now to girls. I have girls who can't wait to hear what we're doing tonight. We do a flag ceremony at the beginning of every guide meeting. It's a tradition. I can see girls who are like this, desperate because they can't wait. They don't have patience to just think, I'm going to be told in a minute. It used to be that that was just part of being a kid. But now, because most things come to them now, we know that we have to jump on top of that and actually provide things. So the pace with which we've delivered guides has had to change. Everything is changing, not just the program, the way in which you deliver it as well. Expectations. This is a lovely one. Bearing in mind, I was stoked when we got a microwave 2 years ago for my guide hut. Do you think we have Wi-Fi? However, I have been asked this question on more than one occasion by different girls. Can I have the password for the guide hut Wi-Fi? What for? Oh, because of some group chat that I have to get on or whatever it is. These girls are 10 and they're on a group chat, which is way more important than anything I have to tell them for sure, but they cannot fathom a life without Wi-Fi. So when we run an emergency training session and we might say, okay, we're in the bush, someone's broken their leg, there's 3 of you here, what are you going to do? Guaranteed they will all say, you can phone someone. And we'll say, no, there's no phones. And they say, okay, we can WhatsApp them. No. I'll live stream it. No, you won't. They grow up where Wi-Fi is in the air. And I know I can joke about it, but this is real. They grow up connected. They grow up in a home that's connected. You walk into your home now, talk to a Google thing that turns the lights on. That's where they live. So we can't bury our head in the sand and pretend that it doesn't happen. We have to embrace it. That's not to say that I have Google Home in the guide hut, but I am working on it. Okay. This is the big one, barriers to participation. For us, it's fear of the great outdoors. Simple as that. So many girls don't go outside. They don't go outside. They come to guides, and it could be winter, which in Queensland is not really a thing, but it could be winter. They turn up, they've got shorts on and a t-shirt and a pair of trainers. And we're going to go out walking for the evening. And I say, where's your coat? And I say, what do you mean? I say, we're going to go outside. Oh, well, I haven't bought it. They don't come prepared because they don't go outside. They don't turn up with a coat on. They just got in the car and they're coming inside. So we have to instill a feeling of the outdoors being really important. We also make adventurous activities the norm. It's normal to go and do these things. It's what we do. They're on the calendar every term. So many girls say they're afraid of canoeing. I don't know how you can be afraid of canoeing, but they say they're afraid of it. It's a fear that they have learnt from somebody. But if it's just on the calendar that's stuck on the fridge and canoeing is just on Saturday and it's just what we do and everyone's just going, suddenly it's not so bad. So we make it the norm. The other thing we do is we lead by example. That's me, going over the edge of Kangaroo Point. We have to show the girls, do as I do, not just as I say. And it's easy to say that, but it's actually really hard to do, especially when you have girls who are daredevils and they really want to do the really scary thing that you have to then say, I'm fine with that. But it's really important that they can see you having a go. So this is our biggest barrier to participation, making sure that children are just comfortable being in the outdoors, and from there, growth and other cool things can happen. What else have we got? Screen obsession. I would say that the parents are probably worse than the kids for wanting to stay at home on the couch at night on their phone. However, we've had to embrace this. Some guide units have a bucket and you walk in and you put your phone in like that. And there's no phones for the evening. That's fine. That's how their leader wants to run it, and we're cool with that. Others say, right, get your phone out. Someone find me a cool app for stargazing. We're going to go outside and use that. It doesn't matter how you do it, but we have to tackle that head on. What are you going to do about the screen obsession, and why is your club or organisation more exciting than what they can get on that screen? Hectic lives. Do you know how many other activities the kids in your groups do any week, apart from school? A recent study shows that children are doing 4.2 extracurricular clubs in a week. 4.2 is a bit random, but let's say 4. So that's 4 separate activities your members could be doing as well as what you do and school. So think about that. That's pretty massive, especially when they could be 11, 12, 13. The tax on their time is massive, and we know that, so we have to make sure that we fit. So many guide leaders will tell you they've spent ages planning a camp or a fundraiser, only to discover that it's the first week of the netball season. And we know that no mums are going to come along because they're all shipping the kids off to netball, and that's totally fine. But we have to make sure that we understand the calendar of what we're competing with to make sure that our event or whatever it is number one on the calendar at that time for the family. So we coordinate all our activities within the school term, and we are well aware of when soccer finals, netball finals, and school exams are on. But it's really important. It's not like when kids went to guides because there was nothing else to do. It's really competitive now. Even if you're one of the big winners like soccer, rugby, you can't guarantee the kids are just going to come to you, because give it a term and they might disappear. Who knows what NDD is? Okay. There's a fantastic book called Last Child in the Woods by Richard Louv. NDD stands for Nature Deficit Disorder. Think about it. It's real, right? You know kids feel better when they get outside in the sunshine, run around and let off some steam. You can structure that and call it whatever you like, but we know that that's what they need to do. So we make sure at Guides that that's top of our agenda. It's about girls making sure they use their body, they're physical, they feel what it's like to be outside. They understand what it's like to be in the fresh air, to feel things, to get grubby. Girls mustn't be afraid of that, especially. And the last one is the parents. So often mum might have had hang-ups as a child. I can't tell you the amount of 7-year-olds who are afraid of public speaking. How do they know that? They can't. They've probably caught it from somebody else, and that's okay. We all have our hang-ups, and we probably all pass them on to our children. But when those children are in your care, it's up to you to show them you can overcome these things, and that's what we do at Guides. We give them opportunity. We say, it's safe here, they're all friends here, it's fine, we want you to have a go, but that's the most important thing. So a big barrier for participation is often parents. Without realising it, they're afraid, or they don't see the value in something. So we have to work with those parents and really help them to make sure their kids can come and join us. All right. Attracting members. We attract about 1,800 members a year. How good is that? How good is that? Yay. However, at one point we were losing about 2,000 at the same time. So we were going backwards. That's right. And we couldn't work out why. We knew our messaging was bang on because we were attracting all these members, but we just couldn't understand why we were losing them out the back door. And we found out that what it was is lots of parents have this really short-term focus. They have no idea that if you haven't done it in one term, you're not going to like it, so they go on and do something else. So we've had to work really hard to share why you need to stay at Guides with these girls. So we make sure the parents know how are we adding value to the individual. Girls learn everything at Guides by doing. There's not one thing that we tell them how to do and then they sit there and don't have a go. Everything is practical application. So this is how we add value to their lives. The skills they learn are immense. What do they really want? They want the fun, they want the friendship, they want to challenge themselves, they want to feel the fear and do it anyway. So we give them that opportunity. Parents absolutely love knowing their daughter will have a chance to have a go at things. They don't say, I really want her to have a go at archery. Well, some of them might do, but we know that it's not the actual activities. It's how they come home. That's what they really want. So we make sure the parents know what we're doing, and we make sure we constantly ask for feedback. Whenever a member leaves, we send them a survey. We really want to know, tell us more about why you're leaving. Why is your daughter leaving? What happened? We have lots and lots of data coming in, and over the last 2 or 3 years, we've started to be able to track it. And one of the most amazing things is we know that only 2% of them leave for financial reasons. But there's a lot of rumour in Guideland that people leave because it's too expensive. Well, now we know that that's not true at all. In fact, we're one of the cheapest groups you can go to, which is amazing. But if we weren't capturing the data, we would never have known. So if you're losing members and you're not sure why, send them a little survey. Start tracking the reasons that they're leaving, and you might be surprised at the answers. So we talked about short-term focus versus long-term benefits. Even the girls feel that. Because we have the patrol system, they can see where they can end up in a few years. They've got something to work for. We have the recognition system, which means they can do badges, they can look at their skills and try and refine them, get to the next level, achieve something. That's the long-term benefit of being in Guides. Our Queen's Guide Award, which is the top youth award, is the equivalent of a Duke of Edinburgh award. It's the same thing. The same amount of work goes into it, the same amount of effort, and the same amount of growth happens inside that award. And usually girls achieve that just as they're turning 18. And it's fantastic to see the young women that these girls grow into just from doing that achievement award. That's a long-term benefit of a program like Guides. So this is my marketing hat on. Can you see your ideal member? Who here says their sport is for everyone? Okay. When you say your sport is for everyone, you're actually saying, oh no, anyone can do it. You're missing targeting your ideal audience. Once you start thinking what else we offer, it's not just tennis. They also get leadership skills, they get discipline, they get confidence. Then you start thinking, who are the kids who want that? Where do they hang out? Where do their parents hang out? What do they look like? What's the socio-economic group that they fit into, or groups? Maybe it is really broad spectrum. But don't just think we appeal to everyone. You might do, but start thinking about, she looks like a guide mum when she walks down the street. That looks like the kind of family that come to my club. Start being able to target them. Then you're really starting to hunt your ideal members, and that's where the magic and growth comes. This has worked really well for us at Guides. We had a challenge to try and get people to add 2 new members into their units. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it's an awful lot. And all the leaders were saying, how are we going to do it? And we realised that everyone didn't know what a guide mum looked like. Of course she looks like anyone, but until you walk down the street and think, she's probably the age to have kids who are about 10, or there's someone at your church where you think, oh, those kids are 12, 11, they might come to my group. Once you can start targeting them and seeing them, it makes your life a lot easier. Who is a group here who's got teenage members, 12 and above? Okie dokie. It's really hard to attract members at that age. Unless you're BMXing or skateboarding or something like that, it's usually very hard to attract youth members at that age, unless you have elements of risk. Now, I'm not talking about making sure everyone has a blue card and making sure your ratios are right. I'm talking about risky play. Teenagers love to push the boundaries. We obviously provide them lots of ways they can do that, but there are many ways in your clubs they can do that. Even if it's just they are in charge, that's a big risk for a lot of teenagers, a big risk. They're risking their reputation, they're risking their street cred, we know that. So put them out there, let them feel the risk, and if they know they're safe in your organisation, they will love it, because the feeling they get when they achieve it is worth its weight in gold. Where's the fun at? Have you ever heard anyone say, I'm really bored as a teenager? What that actually means is I've checked out. I can't think of anything to do right now, so I'm just fed up with it. The reason that often happens is there's nothing to engage them. Especially now when we know things happen really fast, we need to move fast. We need to make sure that, okay, we're going to jump on that. I don't want girls to come to my group and be bored. Yes, there is the self-discipline of learning to wait and be patient. But there's also the amazing feeling of when you do something and you suddenly think, whoa, 2 hours has gone. I've had so much fun. So finding the balance between that is the role of our leaders. And as the girls grow up and they start to become leaders too, they realise that is what Guides is all about. So in your organisations, think about When you're getting to that point or the age where they start saying they're bored, how can we engage them? And often it's just changing the pace and giving them a way to get involved. Okay, who thinks their group is cool? Come on, you should all put your hand up. Come on. Okay, there was a time when guides were super cool. Then there was a time when it was definitely not cool. And now we're probably somewhere in the middle, which we're fine with. But if you're going to compete with all the commitments that girls have today, you have to have an element of cool. What is it? Find it. If you don't know what it is, find it. The other thing too is girls are so committed to other things these days, we often expect a level of discipline and commitment that I don't know many adults could actually display. If you think about how hard we ask a lot of youth members to work, how much practice we ask them to put in, and then look at some of the adults around you and think, would they be able to do that much practice? Would they be disciplined enough to actually follow what I'm telling them? So there's always going to be the next Tiger Woods, and we know that. And that's fantastic. And if your life really is committed to your sport, I really commend you. For a lot of kids, that's not the case. And they're struggling. They feel like they're failing because they can't commit. So they'll go and do something else. And then it's a bit too much there, and they'll go and do something else. So finding that happy medium for kids is really important, especially at this age. And when part-time jobs come in, forget it. Unless, of course, you can go and hang out where they work. So one of my girls works at Baskin-Robbins. We've been to visit her on a Tuesday night. So she serves ice cream to 17, 12-year-olds, and then we go and talk to her. It was a way of incorporating what she does into what we do, and she loved it. She then came back, helped us at Guides, and her friend who worked with her also comes to Guides now, which is really important. But we have to be aware of what they're doing in their lives. Okay, teamwork and team building. It's needed more than ever for this group. Especially when you work with girls only. Unfortunately, girls can become cliquey. You know that thing where there's 5 and then one of them is out, so there's just 4. Then she's back in, another one's out, so there's 4 again. That's really hard to manage, and it destroys girls. But at some point, most of them go through it. If you have to work as a team, and your group might get split up for a night or an hour or 5 minutes, that can either give you a break or it can make you really feel like, oh, I'm losing my best friend. Doesn't matter, but they feel what it's like to work as part of a different team. If you're, say, soccer or rugby, those girls work as part of a team of probably 20 people if you include the outsiders, and they're the same people all the time. So the development that they're going to get in those relationships is massive. If we can encourage that and ask them to look a bit deeper, switch teams, switch partners, and get even deeper relationships at this age, girls will come back time and time again because what they want is connection. They really, really want the connection, and we know that. Girls at the age of 14, this is the latest research on how they operate, they don't know how they feel about something until they say it out loud. Who knew? So that means a lot of the time when a girl says something and it comes out of her mouth, she thinks, oh, that's how I feel about it. If she's not in an environment where it's okay for her to speak her mind, she might not know how she ever actually feels about something. So at Guides, we provide a safe environment to speak. Speak up, share your voice, tell us how you feel about it. There's no right or wrong in this situation. It's just learning how you feel and who you are. So that's really important to us. And in any team situation, it's really easy to facilitate that. Another thing we do at Guides is learning to give and receive constructive criticism. And we do this from really young. It's amazing to watch a group of 7-year-old girls go around the circle and critique each other's performance in a really genuine, kind, positive way. If you can foster that in children from a young age, they'll take it to their adulthood and beyond. It's really important that girls are comfortable to say how they feel and say to someone, I didn't like it when you did that because it made me feel like this. And for the girl on the receiving end to be able to say, I'm really sorry that I made you feel like that, I didn't realise. That's a casual conversation. It doesn't have to be a big deal. But we facilitate it so that girls are comfortable in that space. Okay, this is a big one. If you get the girls to move, they will feel it and they will love it. And we know this is true. If you think about an average teenage girl who sits on her phone when she gets home from school or does her homework, watches the TV, how much is she actually moving? Not a lot. If you get her to run around outside in the fresh air with her body moving, for probably 2 minutes would do it, but as long as you can, the feeling she's going to get is amazing. When you're running a sporting organisation, you are in luck because you've already got the kids to move. But especially at this age, and especially for girls, it's a real big one. Once they feel the rush of endorphins that they get from exercise and moving, they are hooked. And if you can keep them feeling that, it will help them build their confidence, and we know they'll come back time and time again for that kind of thing. All right. Can girls in your club see women leading the way? Not just making the tea or filling in the forms. I actually asked this question at another talk that I've done last year, and you could hear a pin drop in the room as everybody started to think, I don't know. We've been trying to get girls to come to this group for ages, but there's no women here, or there's no one in the team. Girls need to actually see other girls and women actively participating. They need to see somewhere that they could be in a few years' time. They need to have inspiration, not just from men and boys in your groups, but from girls. They can identify themselves with somebody else. This is a really important thing. When we use screens, we have to close off so many of our other senses. How many times have you been on your phone and suddenly gone, and you don't realise that the TV program has changed or something's happened? This is especially important for kids whose senses are not properly developed. The control of their senses is not properly developed until they're in their really late teens. So if you've got kids staring at a screen, chances are they have no idea anything is happening around them. So when we're outdoors, we use all our senses. We feel things, we smell things, we listen for things. You can feel the air on your face. That's so important. So this creates immediacy. If you can feel it now, it's here. So I'm here, I'm solid, I'm confident. I've got confidence, I'll share my confidence. We know that's how girls operate. And so we provide that for them. If we want them to lead others, they've got to lead themselves. To do that, they've got to be aware. So that's an environment that we provide. Is there a pathway towards leadership? How do you become captain of the soccer team? How do you become vice captain? How do you become anything? What's their next level to get to? If you can't display that really, really clearly for girls, they're not going to do it. And it's not because they can't see the pathway, it's because they think it's too hard. They think, I want more, but I don't know how to ask for it, or I want more, but there's nowhere for me to go. Show them the pathway of moving forward and where to go, and they will take part. And the best thing that happens is they'll pull the others along with them. We know that in guides, and our entire patrol system is about that. Watching the person directly in front of you achieve something and learn it, they can turn around and show you. You then have the skill, and you can share it with somebody else. That works all the way up the chain and back down again. And it's fantastic. But if you don't foster it on purpose, it's not there. Okay, here's the marketing part. What are you really selling? It's not just about whether they want to play cricket like Dad. It's not just about they want to learn to play netball. If girls are honest, this is what they want. They want to have adventures. Let me tell you, allowing that lorikeet to sit on that girl's head was a massive adventure. What you can't see is there's about 700 more lorikeets in that picture. It's quite frightening to actually stand amongst all those birds. But for her, she was terrified of birds until that day. And that photograph I love because it's the moment she realised that it was just a fear that was unnecessary. She had an adventure and she got a lot of confidence on that day. She tried a lot of new things. She now feels safe to be herself. She could say, I'm afraid, and she was fine with it. And she might have made friends with the birds, we don't know. But this is what the girls want to do. So we know how important that is to foster and sell these things, not just your activity. And being part of a big picture, we all want that. I want to know that when I do something, I'm contributing to a bigger picture, and I'm sure that the girls do too, whether they're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever age they are. We know if you can show them the bigger picture, they really want to be part of it. So I'd just like to share a statement from one of our high achievers. This girl, Grace Arnott, is 18, and she attained the highest youth award that I spoke about earlier, which is the Queen's Guide Award. We have an award ceremony for all the girls every year who've got their achievement awards, and this is her closing statement when we asked her to write a statement about where to from here. And she said, "Where to from here? To infinity and beyond for me. I know that regardless of what I might do in my future, the friends I have made and the skills I have obtained through guides will always be a part of who I am, and I think that's what will take me through life to the end." Isn't that amazing? So she feels like just by being at guides, she's got lifelong friends and skills that are going to see her right through to the end of her days, which is amazing. We didn't ask her to say that. She's 18 and she wrote that in a closing speech to all of us. So I think it's really important that we know that girls want to be involved. They want to have skills and confidence. They just need someone to show them the way. So what's your next move for your club or your organisation? The most important thing is to workshop your individual points of difference for your club or your sport or whatever it is you do before you do any more marketing. So I want you to think about promoting gaining friends and confidence, or whatever it is that you think they can do at your club, not just come and play cricket. That is important. What the sport that you're doing is very important, granted. But the other things that the kids are going to get from coming along to that are just as important. They also are the things that get those pushy parents over the line sometimes. If they think it's just a bit of fun, they often don't come and stay for that too long. But if the kids are going to get confidence or friends or whatever it is you decide you can sell in your group, that's really important too. Sharpen up your target market. Appeal to your highly savvy potential members, by which I mean 13-year-olds. But remember, you're aiming your marketing efforts and the benefits at their parents too. You don't need to start being on Snapchat for your club. I'm not saying that. But I am saying make sure you know what you're selling to whom, because your message will fall on deaf ears, and it's a shame. It's hard to promote a club. We know that. But make sure that you're promoting the right thing to the right people. Do as I do, not just as I say. Can girls come into your group and see actively involved women leading the way? If the honest answer to that question is no, you need to take action. If the honest answer is yes, we're absolutely brimful of it, promote it. It's crazy, but we are still in a society where we have to over-promote to get girls and women to come and do things that have been unisex activities for years. It's just the way it is. So if you have got a group that's really awesome and you've got loads of women leading the way and are involved, do it. If you're in a sport where a woman has just won something, or for example, imagine being in soccer when the Matildas won. All of a sudden, everybody wants to come and play soccer who's a girl. If that's happening in your sport, promote it. Follow the women in your sport just as much as the men and promote what they do. Show girls there's a way forward for them as well. And the last thing is, girls need to build networks, and we know that they all like to say, I'm really confident and I have a chat and I've got loads of friends. They're actually full of bravado. What they really need is to feel safe and confident. Then they can build their networks, then they will show the way, then they will lead each other. So encourage your teamwork, encourage friendships, and make sure that you have social things to do as well as all the really important practice and all the things that you do with your sport. That's me. Thank you.
You don't need to wait for me. Anyone got any questions for Holly?
My name's Ben. I run Laser Skirmish, but I'm also an outdoor rec instructor at the same time. I find it really hard with some girls just to get them motivated. Can you just give any tips to get them motivated?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Do you mean motivated to participate? Yeah. So a lot of the time, it's a really common thing to watch a group of girls come into somewhere and they're talking really excitedly, and as soon as it's time to do the thing, they all become this person, right? I don't know why, but that is lack of self-confidence. So often, you'll find there's one who's still looking up. Pick her. Ask someone to go first. Pick anybody, ask them to go first. A lot of the time with girls, it's just, I don't know if I should. There's been a lot of talk about getting girls to speak up, using their voice. It's very hard, and still girls struggle to put their hand up. Still girls struggle to be confident. So you might find it just takes a little bit longer for that group of girls who are looking at the floor all of a sudden and very silent to have a go. To be honest, with laser skirmish, I'm really quite surprised. I would have thought running around in the dark where no one could see, you could use that as a selling point. It's dark in there, no one can see you. That would be fine. But a lot of the time, it's just confidence. Give them a bit more time. A lot of the time, tell them what's in there so there's certainty. Make them feel safe, make them feel confident about what's about to happen, and then they should be good. How many girls do you have coming through?
I mean, as camp-wise, like, because I also do camps as well.
Okay, do you mean getting them to come on the camp or when they're there?
When they're there.
When they're there. A lot of the time, a lot of girls are used to standing at the back. They are used to not jumping in. At Guides, we promote everybody has a go. And that's not to say whether you like it or not. You don't have to. But we like to make sure everyone feels it, because we're saying to them, if you do it, you're going to feel amazing. Imagine how good you'll feel once you've achieved that. Find out what they're afraid of or what it is that makes them think, I don't want to have a go, and just let them in. Sometimes they just won't. And a lot of the time, there is an age of girls where they just won't take part. Guides is multi-age. A lot of the girls who are 13 are in a group of girls from 10 to 15. So we might have a few girls at the back who are just these ones, and the rest are having a go, and that's fine. If you've got a group who are all the same age, you may find it's a little bit trickier, but sometimes it can just be giving them a bit more time.
On that note, thank you very much, Holly.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed that.
Thanks very much.